I'm Brandon Doyle. I'm with Remax Results here in Maple Grove, Minnesota. I'm part of the Doyle real estate team, and I am a multi-time best-selling author. So I've written 3 books now that are available on Amazon. And if you're out at the NAR conference, they had them on display there. They actually sold out. So that was pretty exciting. I do also write for a number of real estate publications. So I typically focus on business planning and marketing. And then with the last 2 to 3 years, I really focused on smart home technology. So I test hundreds of products for that. And I actually have a YouTube channel called Home Tech Decisions. So I've got 3 books as well as a workbook that's available. The first book we wrote about 5 years ago now. That was Mindset, Method, and Metrics. I co-authored that with 2 friends here in Minnesota. One that was at the time in a title industry, and the other is a previous broker owner. So we each kind of shared our insights. It was a very successful book, and a lot of people had asked for a companion workbook, so we released that shortly after. Both of those are still available. And then, not a lot of, some people don't want to read a full book. They just really want to get right to the point. And so, doing conferences and different speaking engagements, I had people asking, just what's the best place to go for direct mail, or what should I do for my website or social media. And so I came up with a more concise book, the Real Estate Marketing Playbook, and it is just that. It is a playbook that people can jump to each chapter. You can pick something that you want to learn about, and in that chapter I talk about what's an overview of that tactic, what are some best practices, how should you measure. So how do you know you're being successful? And then I've included case studies for either my own personal business or what I've seen people doing around the United States that's been working for them. And then at the end of each chapter, I have some references. So if someone wants to sign up for that service, I've vetted those companies, and they're just ones that I recommend. So that's been very successful. And then I think about a year, maybe it was 2 years ago now, time kind of flies here with COVID and all. I released the Success Rate Marketing. And so that book is actually very similar to our first book, but it's actually written for all small businesses. And it really hones in on the metrics portion, which was my contribution. And so really looking at a sales funnel, how do you measure top to bottom, both in terms of like number of leads required as well as dollars spent. So I kind of break down some key performance indicators that any business could use, particularly real estate, of course, and how that can apply to their business. I've attended a lot of conferences, and at the time of writing our first book, Nick and I had sat down and said, we're hearing a lot of really good stuff on stage, but we want actionable items, and we want to quantify the things that they're saying instead of just general ideas. So getting more specific. And at that time, there wasn't really a book out there that was written for the everyday agent. In our opinion, there were some really good resources, but they had been written many years prior, and we didn't feel that the information that was shared was really relevant to today. So, at that time, social media was really becoming a popular topic, and in a lot of the books we read, it wasn't even mentioned. And so, wanting to really share our experience as well as some of the stories that we've heard from people that we've met in our travels, and so that we thought were really interesting. And so kind of really sought out to create a resource that would be good for any agent, no matter what market you're in. So a lot of times people that are on stage are typically on the coast, or it might be a higher price point, and that doesn't always translate to something that could work with a Midwest agent. And so we wanted to stick with something that's a little bit more universal, and that's what we did. So going to different real estate conferences really gives us a chance to see the latest and greatest that's out there. And so I've always kind of been on the bleeding edge of technology. We were actually the first to start using drones as an agent here in Minnesota. There had been people that had hired it out, but we were the first to actually purchase our own and build it. And at that time, it wasn't something that was super readily available. So we were doing a lot of land listings at the time. And what better way to showcase acreage and lakeshore property than with aerial technology? And so, of course, now fast forward today, that's just common. Like basically everyone is doing it. But again, at a different conference, we saw the 360 technology. It was Matterport at the time, and we were the first to bring that here to Minnesota. So just really seeing what's working in other markets, and then how can we apply that here? So um, it's great being on the cutting edge, but it's kind of funny looking back now, like seeing agents advertising they're doing this stuff. It's like, wow, we were doing that like 5 years ago. So, and of course, when you're the first to do something, it's a little bit more expensive. And so we're kind of the guinea pigs. Now the technology has advanced and become a lot more affordable. But for me, it's really, I enjoy finding interesting technology and then saying, okay, how can we make that work in the real estate world? Like, how can we make the transaction better for the consumer? How can we save time or market something better? So that's really been the goal with anything that we try to implement. We were the first with aerial and the first with 360 in our market. And I'm just really excited to see the adoption rates increase. So here, when we first started doing that, it would be, you think of virtual tour and it would either be like just still images with some music. Now, like the local companies have really caught on, and so we're seeing way more 360 tours, and occasionally we're still seeing like really good video walkthroughs, and so that's great to see. I want to see more of that in our market because that's a real benefit for all buyers. It's so much easier to visualize a property when you can, you either get that moving picture or you can click through on your own with an included floor plan, because sometimes you just get a few pictures and it doesn't do it justice, and you're really kind of just wasting everyone's time at that point because the buyer, if you're going to get to somewhere and they really want something that's like one level living, and then pictures don't show any stairs, and you get there and it's all stairs and they just conveniently left those out, that's wasting their time. It also wastes the seller's time because they have to leave their house and stuff. If they have kids or pets, that's an inconvenience. So I think just being as transparent as possible with listings up front and using the latest tools to market them is really important, and it excites me. Yeah, I think a lot of people spend a lot of time worrying about the next big thing. Do I need to buy leads from XYZ, or what is Zillow doing right now? How does that affect me? And they just get so distracted, and it's like they're looking for that next silver bullet. And in reality, like there's nothing I can tell you that you probably don't already know. It's just a matter of having that discipline to every day get up and make the contacts, reach out to someone. Especially now, we are definitely a relationship based business, and there's nothing that any tech company is going to do that is going to disrupt that relationship and trust that you've built over time with people, your past clients. That's a huge value. And look for tech tools that like help make this more efficient, but at the same time we don't want to automate everything because we're not robots. Being human is what makes us successful. So there's a lot of things that we should just take ownership of and not try to automate.